Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're so glad to welcome you as part of our community tonight. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and distributed live stream. By entering this virtual meeting room, you give your consent to be recorded and distributed by Vienna Live with Simeon Moore and other third parties. If you wish to not be recorded, please go to the LinkedIn video feed, the link to which I've just placed in the chat room. Tonight, our featured guest is composer Karen Amrhein, whose new album, Panorama, will be the subject of tonight's conversation. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you, Simeon. Thanks for having me on your show.
Karen, so tell us a little bit about where you come from, how your musical tastes were formed, and the moment you decided to pursue a career as a professional composer.
Well, I was born in Michigan and I lived there until I was 15. And then I finished high school in Southern California and earned my BA in medieval history, actually, with a minor in music composition from UC San Diego. And I continued my musical studies at community college before moving to Baltimore and attending the Peabody Conservatory. So I really don't know how exactly my musical tastes were formed, other than my parents enjoyed listening to art music occasionally and were thoughtful and generous in paying for music lessons in clarinet and piano for me. I also don't know why they offered all their children music lessons, nor why they only appealed to me. My musical tastes were always drawn toward art music, which of course increased in complexity as I matured. And I began dabbling at composing around 15 years old, I believe. I decided to pursue a career as a composer because I was ignorant and foolish enough to think it was a viable career rather than almost guaranteed road to discouragement. But I love writing music, and even though I do not enjoy the business of music at all, because everything in the business of music seems to be designed to thwart the creation and distribution of the best music. And conductors and performers are so overbusy and overbooked that they don't allow the time to listen to music, it seems to me. So unless a composer has a close personal relationship with an important conductor or performer, the chances of her breaking through the wall of noise and indifference are akin to the chances of being struck by lightning. But I'm grateful to write music, and that's really all I can say.
Okay, let's have a listen then to our next track. This is from the Symphony of Seasons, an anthem for autumn. Karen, tell us what's the story behind Panorama, your new album?
Well, in keeping with what I just said about the difficulty of breaking through, I contracted with Parma Recordings, which is the company that runs Navona Records, to promote some of my orchestral music because my own efforts at promoting my music have not gone as well as I would have hoped. And my hopes are that with Parma's resources, they can reach musicians and potential audiences that I cannot on my own. So we collaborated on designing the album, and they are distributing and promoting it. And the pieces are pieces I've written over a number of years, and which I have good recordings of, and we just collaborated on making it all into an album.
And tell us a little bit about the music we just heard. This is all music. It's very pleasant to listen to. There was applause when we finished listening to the to both tracks.
Oh,
It could
thank you.
it could be. I mean, it's very accessible. Tell us what exactly is the Symphony of Seasons.
Well, the Symphony of Seasons is the symphony I've written, the only symphony I've written so far. And the anthem for autumn that we just heard is the basis for the entire symphony. So the symphony has four movements: autumn, winter, spring, and summer. And autumn is comprised of the anthem and then seven variations, direct variations. But the other movements derived from that theme as well, and you can hear them especially in spring and summer. So it was just, I wrote it as an attempt to write a symphony. I thought it would be an interesting challenge, and I liked the idea of spinning everything off that one anthem. So that was the story behind that.
And the Avandalian Suite, we're about to hear the third movement, Hunt. What's that all about?
Well, this suite is a series of tone poems that are actually inspired by and based on J.R.R. Tolkien's The Silmarillion. But it was too complicated to get permission, ongoing permission, to use the titles and everything for the piece, even though I actually submitted it to the Tolkien estate and their music advisors were complimentary about the music. But I just didn't want to get involved with that copyright headache. So I just changed the titles. And this is the third movement, Hunt. And it basically is portraying a hunt-like chase. And the excerpt we hear is from about the middle, I think, to the end of the piece.
Should we listen for anything in particular?
Um, Well, it would be a little too complicated to explain the whole tone poem right now, but the section you're hearing is the heart of the drama, so there will be some dissonance and contention, and then the drama resolves and it'll be much more lyrical, more like what you just heard in the earlier two pieces.
Okay, here we go. So
Okay.
this is the Avondalian Suite, third movement, The Hunt. Lovely. So, Karen, we've heard you twice now say
Thank you.
how difficult it is to politically to work with musicians because they're very busy. Um, they imagine want to be paid for their services and all that. But there must be another side. When you are you inspired by some musicians? How did you pick the musicians? I guess Parma picked the musicians for you in this on this album. What do you look for in a musician? What do you value in a musician? What inspires you in a musician?
Well, actually, I chose all the musicians for this album because the music was all recorded before I worked with Parma, so that part had already been sorted out. What I look for, and I should say that the orchestras that were featured on this album were chosen largely according to what my husband and I could afford. The soloists were chosen based on availability, economy, and the profound hope that they would be easy and pleasant to work with. So, what I look for in a musician is reliability foremost. Musicians can be difficult to collaborate with, and they can also, I've worked with wonderful ones as well, wonderful singers, a fine cellist, among others. But I try to minimize my headaches by doing as much as I can myself. And then when I hire a musician or orchestra, I'm looking for solid musicianship, of course, and reliability and pleasantness and affordability. And obviously, the latter criterion completely eliminates American orchestras. They're much too expensive. So the orchestras featured on this album are the Slovak Radio Symphony Orchestra and the Bohuslav Martinu Philharmonic for the most part. And for orchestras, it's really, in picking them, it's really affordability and availability. For me, for individual musicians, those factors are important, but it's also people who are pleasant to work with. And I think you asked me what musicians inspire me. Is that correct? So let's see. That's a harder question for me to answer. I'm not sure of musicians who have inspired me. Well, I mean, in general, I was thinking of performing musicians, but composers, I'm very much inspired by Debussy. I love Debussy's music and Ravel's, probably more than anything. I have a lot of love and respect for Brahms and, of course, Bach and lots of others. But I think I'm most inspired by Debussy.
You think that the Brahms and Debussy and the others, they would all commiserate with you about working with musicians?
I suspect.
Let's have a listen to our next track. This is Piano Concerto with Orchestra Ballade. Beautiful. So this brings us to
Thank
the
you.
philosophical part of our conversation. The classical music magazine, The Horn Call, describes the music of composer Karen Amrhein as, quote, seriously worth investigating for study and public performance. Succinct in style and scope, it provides the audience a capsulized aroma of mid-20th century harmonic idioms, as well as some fresh melodic direction, and it leaves the listener wanting more. End quote. On another episode of Vienna Live, I interviewed a composer from the United States and wanted to ask him why audiences have so much trouble listening to contemporary classical music. The question, though, made him bristle, and he replied that contemporary music shouldn't be just tied to the post-war experiments of the Darmstadt school. What defines contemporary classical music to you, and how would you like your music to contribute to shaping its future?
Okay, so first of all, I like to use the term art music myself as opposed to classical music because I find it rather confusing since it conflates all of Western art music with the one narrow period. So just for myself, I'll say that I define contemporary art music as art music that is being written during our lifetimes, regardless of the style or quality or what have you. Um, and it brings to mind Martha Graham, her comment about modern dance. She objected to the term modern dance because she says anything modern is only modern for moments, and then it's already in the past. So she preferred contemporary dance, and in a similar way, I prefer contemporary classical music or contemporary art music as you do to contemporary classical music. As to how I'd like my music to contribute to its future, well, I must say I'm skeptical of any music that is defined as important because that usually means either influential in its time, which is to say that other musicians find it something worth copying rather than just being themselves, or it's considered different enough to be new, which, and so often important seems to be a synonym for unpleasant. But I believe music is a gift and really a miracle from God, and I'm very grateful for it. I'm puzzled that it exists at all and that our brains can comprehend and appreciate it. It just boggles my mind. So it's astonishing that any music succeeds in touching a mind and a heart. But in the end, as wonderful as it is, it's just an oral aroma. It's utterly abstract, so it can't advocate for a particular political or religious or social view. And I personally find it tiresome when a composer tries to make it do so. It's entertainment, pure and simple, but I think it's the most magical of entertainments because the best music engages our minds and it nourishes our souls and moves and exhilarates our spirits. So I hope that my music will do that for people long after I'm gone. But that is in God's hands because it would be arrogant of me to, assume that my music deserves to be saved when there are billions of people on this planet, and I understand tens of thousands of composers just in the United States. So, but that's my hope that it will please and benefit people long after I'm gone. And I don't know how that will shape the future of music, but I hope it just brings beauty into the world.
And as a follow-up, I just did a course, a lecture on Beethoven's Missa Solemnis, and I was pointing out how on the first page of the manuscript, he writes something quite incredible that it should proceed from one heart to another heart. And
Yeah,
I mean, it was, I mean, so cryptic, but yet so Beethoven wants to communicate with other people. This is something social also. Do you believe that too? Is it something social? Is it some kind of
very,
communication?
very much. Yes, very, very much. I agree with you completely, and I agree with Beethoven. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. It's one heart speaking to another heart in an utterly ineffable way. There's nothing concrete about it. You can't transfer anything direct, but you can convey raw emotions, I think, in a lot of ways that way, and convey beauty and longing and excitement and lots of emotions. It's wonderful that way, but it really is communicating from one soul to another soul, I think.
Let's have a listen to our next track. This is the Eye of Phoebus Suite for Orchestra Prelude. And maybe actually you could just tell us a little bit about what we're about to hear, Karen.
Yes, the suite is actually incidental music for a novel I wrote. I had a telephone rang for me one day and rang just half a ring, and it got me thinking, and I ended up writing a novel as a result. And then I wrote incidental music to go with the novel. So the suite consists of six movements, and this is the first movement, the prelude. And it's basically trying to convey the excitement of the opening of the story. And I think we're coming in about halfway or a little beyond halfway through.
And is there any narrative we should keep in mind while we listen to this?
No, no, I'll just let the music speak for itself.
Let's hear it. Fantastic. Are there any
Thank you.
questions? Would anybody like to chime in? Oh, Dr. Davis would. Hi, Dr. Davis.
There you go. I think I am working now. This, for me, handling this machine in front of me is almost as difficult for some people trying to write music, I'm sure. Never tried writing, but I like it. Very nice music, very, very thoughtful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Haven't heard music like that since Beethoven, Mozart, Brahms. It's you really hit the button on the head. Something's clicking up here.
Well,
That's for
thank you very
sure.
much. I appreciate that. That's what I just want my music to reach people in a pleasant way. And, that's what music is about. It's supposed to make the world better. And I hope this is making the world a little nicer.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I don't want to go there. I'm from Brooklyn. I'll have to say something I shouldn't. Keep up the good work, yeah. Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dr. Davis. So, final thoughts. Final question. What, Karen, do you wish everyone who listens to this album? I think you just spoke a little bit about it. What would you like us all to take away?
Yeah, it's nothing very profound, but I wish for them pleasure and nourishment from the music. I hope that those who listen to the music on Panorama are moved and nourished and entertained in a very uplifting way. And I hope it makes the world a little bit more beautiful for them. That's basically it.
Let's see how we can get the album. It's easy enough on navonarecords.com. All you have to do is go to navonarecords.com and then in the search, Just write in Karen Amrhein, and it should come up in 1 second. There it is, Panorama. And you can listen to it, you can buy it, read all about it. It's right there. That's again, novonarecords.com. And if you'd like to stay in touch with Karen, her website is her karenamrhein.com. And people can reach out to you if they have any questions, Karen.
That would be just lovely. Yes, they certainly can.
Perfect. So reach out to her, and the email there is info@karenamrhein.com. She looks forward to answering your questions and hearing your comments. Thank you so very much to Karen Amrhein.
Thank you, Simeon.
So, and before we go, I'd like to bring your attention to the Vienna Live website, which is www.simeonmoro.com. And I'd like to bring your attention to our sponsorship campaign that's going on right now. For $5 a month, you will receive one Vienna Live Celebrates 5 Years mug. For $10 a month, you will receive one Vienna Live Celebrates 5 Years mug and one Vienna Live City tote. If you go under custom one-time payment, you can sponsor the show for however much or little you'd like. There are no minimum payments. Your continued support ensures that Vienna Live can continue to operate as a free classical music public service. And coming up next week, we have Eli Howell Steps Taken. Eli Howell's Steps Taken marks a poised and resilient debut. Trombonist and composer Eli Howell delivers an assured and deeply reflective debut with Steps Taken. He originally conceived the album as a celebratory culmination of his studies at Michigan State University, but unforeseen circumstances reshaped it into a compelling statement of resilience, adaptability, and artistic clarity. That's next Wednesday. Eli Howell, Panorama, and as always, all information about upcoming shows is available at simeonmoro.com. Once again, thank you so very much to Karen Amrhein. Thank you to Vienna Live's corporate and individual sponsors. Your ongoing support allows Vienna Live to operate as a free public music service. Thanks very much to my cousin Mike, a marketer from Layer App. If you're an architect or an engineer, they have a really cool tool you should check out. And of course, most of all, thanks to you, our participants, who make it all worthwhile. From Baltimore, Maryland, and Washington, D.C., goodbye, and see you next Wednesday.
Okay, bye-bye.